Hello viewers, during our preceding couple of lectures, we have discussed about 6 specific subsidiary books meant for recording credit transactions of specific nature. In today's lecture, we are going to talk about cash book, a specific journal meant for recording all the cash transactions of business firm. Let us start with its meaning. A cash book is a specific subsidiary book meant for recording those transactions which involve movement of cash to and from business firm. We all know that movement of cash in business transactions is quite frequent, as many of the daily transactions of business involve cash. Some of these transactions involve cash receipts, while the other involve cash payments. Examples of cash receipts by a business firm are cash sales, collection from debtors, incomes received like commission, interest, etc. Examples of cash payments are cash purchases, payment to creditors, payment of expenses like salary, rent, etc. As cash is the key focus of any commercial activity, it is very important to keep a track record of all such transactions separately. A cash book serves this purpose. So, cash book is a specific subsidiary book that records all the cash transactions of a firm. It includes all cash receipts as well as payments, irrespective of their nature and amount. Though cash book is a type of journal, its format is similar to that of a ledger. It is a T-shaped structure divided from the center. The left hand side of this book, that is debit side, is meant for recording cash receipts, and the right hand side of this book, that is credit side, records cash payments. So, as against 6 subsidiary books discussed earlier, cash book is a specific journal which has 2 columns for recording amount of transactions. The difference of total of these 2 sides represents the balance of cash in hand. There are 2 possibilities regarding balance of cash in a firm. Either the firm has a debit balance of cash, that is, it represents the excess of debit total, that is cash receipts, over the credit total, that is cash payment, or the firm has no balance. But it is not possible for a firm to have credit balance, as total of payments of a firm cannot be more than the total of the receipts. A cash book is unique subsidiary books in the sense that though it is a type of journal, it also serves the purpose of a ledger account. So, when cash book is maintained, there is no need to maintain cash account separately in ledger, as it would amount to duplication of the work. Being a journal, a cash book records all the receipts and payments in sequential manner. Cash book begins with balance of cash in hand in the beginning of period under consideration, and it closes with balance of cash in hand at the end of the concerned period. Now, let us have a look into the types of cash book a firm can have. Based on the coverage of transactions, a cash book can be of 4 different types. This can be seen in the diagram. You can see that it can be 1 column cash book, 2 column cash book, 3 column cash book, and a petty cash book. Let us start with the first one, that is 1 column cash book. It is the simplest type of cash book and hence is also known as simple cash book. From the perspective of coverage, it is most narrow, as it displays the amount of cash involved in a transaction only. It records amount of cash receipts and payments involved in various accounting transactions. Let us have a look into the format of this cash book. As you can see on the top of the format, left hand side of the cash book is debit side, which is for recording cash receipts, whereas right hand side of this book is credit side, which is for recording cash payment. Now, let us understand the various columns of this cash book. Date columns, that is column number 1 and 6 are meant for recording the date of related transaction respectively. It means column number 1 records the date of receiving cash and column number 6 records the details of or the date of paying cash. Column number 2, that is on left hand side, particulars column, is meant for recording the details of account on which cash is received. Cash book always starts with a balance representing opening amount of cash in hand. As we understood earlier, this balance can either be debit balance or zero balance, as cash cannot be negative. So, generally this balance is first item in the particulars column on the debit side. Thereafter, this column records the details of account on which cash is received. Technically, it is the name of related ledger account. For example, if you are recording cash sales, then particulars column will mention sales account. Likewise, particulars column on right hand side will mention the name of the account for which payment has been made by the firm. This is column number 7. Next column, voucher number, V number, you understand V number stands for voucher number. So, columns 3 and 8 are voucher number column are meant for recording the number of related voucher. Recall that in the initial lecture we understood that voucher is the basic documentary proof evidencing the happening of a transaction. As cash is very important aspect of business, it is imperative to record all cash receipts and payments along with the details of related vouchers. So, this column on debit side, that is column number 3, records number of related receipt voucher, and likewise on credit side, that is column number 8, it records the number of related payment voucher. Next column LF, you know that LF stands for ledger folio and it represents the corresponding page number of ledger where related recording from cash book have been posted. Accordingly, column 4 and column 9 are meant for mentioning the page numbers of ledger where related receipts and payments have been posted respectively. You will be clearer on this during our lecture on ledger posting. Columns 5 and 10 are amounts column and are meant for writing the amounts of receipts and payments respectively. On debit side, this column, that is column number 5, shows the amount of receipt, and on credit side, that is column number 10, shows the amount of payment. Now, let us understand how transactions are recorded in a simple cash book. The process of writing transactions in a simple cash book is very easy. The important point to be noted is that as this cash book has only one column each for receipts and payments, it exhibits amounts of cash involved in a transaction only, and other aspects like related cash discount do not find place in this cash book. Let us understand writing transactions in a cash book with the help of an example. We will simultaneously see the transactions given in example and how they have been written in the cash book. Let us have a look into example. A trader has provided you with the details of transactions entered into by it during first fortnight of February 2014. You are required to post these transactions in a simple cash book. As I said, we will be reading the transactions and simultaneously looking into the cash book how they have been written. Transaction number 1 is given February 1, opening balance 15,750 rupees. Now, I hope you understand this is the opening balance of cash on February 1, that is the cash in the beginning. Come to the cash book. See this, because this is a balance of cash, so shall be on the receipt side. On the receipt side, your first transaction, just note it down, February 1 is the date mentioned, to balance brought down is written over there, just showing that you have brought down this balance of cash from the earlier period, and the amount is mentioned in the amount column, that is 15,750 rupees. Moving on to our next transaction, that is February 3. It says cash sells to Betala and Sons rupees 25,450. Now, because you are selling goods for cash, that means you will be receiving cash. So, that means it should be on the receipt side. See the receipt side again, second transaction on receipt side, 3rd of February is the date mentioned. Note the particulars. It is mentioned to sales account. Now, recall, during journalizing we have understood that if we sell good for cash, name of party is not important, it is cash sales for us. So, Betala and Sons is not important, to sales has been mentioned in the particulars column, and amount of sales, that is rupees 25,450 received by you, is mentioned in the amount column. Now, you might have noted that we are not writing anything in voucher number column and ledger folio column. Now, you understand that these are the columns of real life usage, and these are the voucher numbers and page numbers of ledger which are to be taken from real life information. That is why we do not have any information in these two columns, that is voucher number and ledger folio. Let us move to our third information. It is for February 4th and it says cash purchases from Krishna Gopal and Company for rupees 10,000. Now, this is purchase. So, that means you have to pay money, that means payment is there. So, we need to move on the other side, the right hand side, credit side. First transaction on that side you can see February 4, the date is mentioned in the date column. Particulars are mentioning by purchase account. Note that in particulars column we have mentioned by purchases. This is because this purchase is for cash. So, name of the party is not important, and related amount of rupees 10,000 is shown in the amount column. Let us move to our next transaction, that is dated 5th of February, and it says received commission from Mahesh rupees 1,500. Now, this is a cash receipt, you are receiving commission from Mahesh. So, will be recorded on the receipt side, that is debit side of your cash book. See the third posting on your debit side, date is mentioned 5th of February, to commission is mentioned in the particulars column. Again you are concerned here with the income called commission, and Mahesh is not important because it is a receipt of income. So, we have mentioned to commission, and finally 1,500 rupees is mentioned in the amount column. Moving on to our next transaction, that is February 6, you are depositing in bank rupees 15,000. Now, when you deposit money in bank, that means cash moves from business to bank, that implies it is a payment from firm's point of view. Firm is making payment to bank for whatever reason, it is giving money to bank. So, for firm it is a payment, that means it shall be recorded on the payment side. So, let us move to the payment side, that is credit side. See the entry, date is mentioned 6th of February, particulars column is mentioning the concerned account, that is bank account. So, by bank is there, an amount of 15,000 has been mentioned over there. I think it is clear. Now, let us move to our next transaction, that is February 8, purchase of goods from K.K.Bros rupees 25,000. Note that this transaction is not recorded. We will come to this at the end of the solution. Let us talk about our next transaction. February 9, received from A against dues rupees 12,750. Now, this is a receipt clearly mentioned. So, let us move to receipt side, the debit side. On the debit side, see this entry, 9th of February is mentioned in date column, particulars column mentioned to A account because you are receiving it from A, and then amount of 12,750 is mentioned in the amount column. Moving on to our next transaction of February 10, it says paid to Gopal, a supplier, rupees 7,000. Again clear, paid to Gopal means there is a payment. So, should be on the payment side. Come to the payment side, the credit side, see the entry 10th of February by Gopal account in the particulars column and 7,000 rupees in the amount column. Next transaction is for February 13, it says paid rent rupees 12,000, again a payment. So, we need to move to the payment side again, the same side, credit side. Note on the credit side, this transaction date is 13th of February, followed by particulars by rent account and finally, the amount of 12,000 in the amount column. This is how transactions are being recorded in the cash book. Now, once all the transactions are written in the cash book, it is to be closed. For closing the cash book, we have to balance both the sides. And how do we do balancing? As I told you, cash book can have either debit balance or zero balance. That means, it is for sure that either debit side will be exceeding or both the sides will be same. So, we initially total the debit side, the greater side. Totaling this 4 values, you can see 15,750 plus 25,450 plus 1,500 plus 12,750 rupees makes a total of 55,450 rupees. Now, after this you have to move to the other side, the credit side. See there, you can see 4 items over there: purchase, bank, Gopal and rent. 10,000 plus 15,000 plus 7,000 plus 12,000. 10 plus 15, 25 plus 7, 32 and 12, 44,000 rupees is the total. This total of 44,000 rupees from credit is to be deducted from the total of 55,450 on the debit side. And the difference of this two, that is 11,450 rupees, represents your balance. This balance is mentioned on the credit side as by balance carried down. CD over there shows this amount is now carried down for the next period. So, 11,450 written on the credit side of your cash book represent debit balance. Debit side was more than credit side and balance is written on credit side. This is how you close the account. After you have place this balance over there, both the sides will have the same total. You can see 55,450 rupees is the total of your cash book for this fortnight. This is how transactions are recorded in a single column cash book. Now, recall that we did not recorded the transaction dated 8th of February. This is because this transaction is a credit transaction, purchasing goods from K.K. Brothers. Recall, when name of party is mentioned and it is not informed that whether transaction is for cash or for credit, we assume it to be a credit transaction. That is why transaction dated 8th of February in the cash book is not recorded, as it is a credit purchase transaction, because cash book records only those transactions that involve either inflow of money or outflow of money. By now, I believe you are clear with the simple cash book. Now, let us have a look into a 2-column cash book. 2-column cash book is an extension of simple cash book. It is also known as discount column cash book. There are 2 amount columns on each side. First one for recording the discount either allowed or received, and the second one is for recording cash receipts and payments. The basic objective behind maintaining such cash book is to have an immediate insight into cash discounts associated with receipts from customers and payment to suppliers. In this sense, 2-column cash book is superior to simple cash book, as simple cash book cannot provide the spontaneous details of discounts associated with receipts from customers and payment to suppliers. Let us have a look into format of a 2-column cash book. If we compare this format with the format of a simple cash book, it is apparent that except for one additional column for amount on each side, there is no difference in the two formats. The debit side amount column for discount, that is column number 5, records the amount of cash discount allowed to customers, and credit side amount column for discount, that is column number 11, records the amount of cash discount received from suppliers. Now, let us understand the way transactions are recorded in a 2-column cash book. The process of recording the transactions in a discount column cash book is almost same as to recording transaction in a simple cash book. That is, cash receipts are recorded on the left hand, that is debit side, and cash payments are recorded on the credit, that is right hand side. The additional aspect is that when such cash receipt from customer is to be recorded, where cash discount has been allowed to customer, the discount column on debit side will exhibit the amount of cash discount allowed to customer. It means column for cash on debit side, that is column number 6, will show the amount of cash received from customer, and column for discount on debit side, that is just preceding column number 5, will show the cash discount related to that particular transaction that has been allowed to the customer. Similarly, for recording cash payment by business firm to its suppliers, where cash discount has been received, the discount column on credit side will exhibit the amount of cash discount received from supplier. It means column for cash on credit side, that is column number 12, will show the amount of cash paid to supplier, and column for discount on credit side, just preceding column, column number 11, will show the cash discount received on related transaction from the supplier. This will be clear with the help of an example. Again, we will consider the transactions simultaneously along with the posting. We have already seen the format. So, considering that format and the example, we will see how transactions are written in a double column cash book. Let us say you are supposed to write this transaction in double column cash book of a trader. We will take transaction one by one and see the cash book postings. February 1, they have informed you the opening transaction is regarding cash in hand. We have already understood cash book start with opening balance of cash. It is on the debit side. So, see the debit side of your cash book. February 1 is mentioned, to balance brought down is mentioned, amount of 19,952 rupees is mentioned. You know this well because we have already discussed it with simple cash book. Let us move to our second transaction, that is February 2 cash sales. Now, this transaction is also pretty clear. There is a cash sales of 9,500 rupees and there will be a receipt. So, it has to be on the receipt side, that is debit side. Note it. Second transaction February 2 sales account, and then amount of 9,500 is mentioned in the amount column. Let us move to the third transaction February 3 deposited in bank 15,000 rupees. This is outflow of money from business. We have discussed it in the previous example also. So, will be a payment. Let us move to the credit side. See your first transaction on credit side. February 3 is mentioned in the date column. By bank is mentioned in the particulars column, and then rupees 15,000 is shown in the amount column. Next transaction is again a simple one. February 4 cash purchase of rupees 3,600. So, this is also a payment of money. So, will be on the same credit side. See the next transaction of credit side. 4th of February is the date and date column. By purchase, you are purchasing. So, by purchase in the particulars column and rupees 3,600 in the amount column. Moving on to our next transaction, same date February 4 purchased tools and paid by cheque rupees 4,000. Now, just note that we have not recorded this transaction. I will comment on this at the end of this solution. Following transaction is the same date February 4, payment of rent by cheque rupees 3000. Again note that this has not been recorded anywhere, and again I will comment it at the end of the solution. Moving on to our next transaction dated February 5, received commission by cheque rupees 15,000. Now, in continuation, this transaction also has not been recorded anywhere in our cash book. Let us move on to our next transaction. February 7, the transaction is withdrawn from bank for office rupees 5,000. Now, you are withdrawing from bank, that means for business it is receipt. Bank will give you money and money will come to office. So, that is a cash receipt for business. So, it shall be on the receipt side. Come to your receipt side, see there 7th of February is mentioned, the third transaction, to bank account because money has been received from bank, and then amount of 5,000 is mentioned in the amount column. Continuing with our next transaction, it says February 9, received from customer Gopal Brothers in full settlement of dues rupees 5,000, you have received 4,500 rupees. Now, this is the aspect that need an attention as you are maintaining a two column cash book. Remember, second column is for recording the discount, and this is the transaction which is mentioning discount. It says you have a dues of 5,000 rupees, but in full settlement you are receiving 4,500 rupees. What does this imply? This implies that there is a discount of 500 rupees, that means 5,000 minus 4,500 rupees. To record this transaction, let us move on the receipt side of our cash book. Entry number 4, note it down that 9th of February is the date. To Gopal Brothers, the party that is making you payment, the name of the party is mentioned over there. Now, see that in discount allowed column you can see 500 rupees, and in cash column you can see 4,500 rupees. That means 4,500 is the cash received by you and 500 rupees is discount allowed by you on this transaction to your customer. On the similar lines, our next transaction is regarding a payment which involves discount. See that transaction. February 10, paid to Kailash Co, a supplier, in full settlement of rupees 3,500. What you have paid is 3,200 in full settlement of 3,500. So, now realize this that you had to pay 3,500, but you paid 3,200 in full settlement. So, you might understand that there is a discount of 300 rupees, that means 3,500 minus 3,200, and because you are making payment, so you have received the discount from the suppliers. Let us see how this transaction is written in our cash book. Come to the credit side of cash book as it is a payment. See the date, February 10 is mentioned. You are making payment to Kailash Co, the supplier. So, in particulars column, note that by Kailash Co is mentioned. The amount of discount is appearing in discount column, representing you have received a discount of 300 rupees, and the cash that you paid was 3,200, that is mentioned in the amount column. Next transaction is February 11, a simple transaction. You are making payment of wages. So, it is a payment 1195 rupees is the amount. Same side, date 11th February, by wages 1195 rupees, the posting is done. Last transaction says you have received from K.K. Brothers against dues of rupees 2,000 1800 rupees. Now, note the difference between transaction of February 10 and this transaction. February 10 mentioned in full settlement, while this transaction is just talking that you have received 1800 against 2000. That implies you have received part payment and there is no discount associated with this transaction. So, that implies that you will not assume discount by yourself, and it is to be clearly mentioned either directly or indirectly. Coming to the posting, your receipt side, the debit side, last transaction to K.K. Brothers account is mentioned, and amount of 1800 is there in the amount column. There is no discount because we have assumed that there is no discount, it is only a part payment received. This is how you write the transaction in a 2 column cash book. The balancing is in the same manner as you have done it for 1 column cash book, with the difference that we never balance discount columns. Balancing is only for cash column. Discount column will be simply totaled up and total is mentioned at the end. So, note that discount column has neither any opening balance nor it will have any closing balance. This is how transactions are recorded in a 2 column cash book. By now, you might be clear about how transactions are written in 1 and 2 column cash book. The remaining cash books, that is 3 column cash book and petty cash book, that we will discuss in our next lecture. Till then, have a great learning. Thank you.